us is Afzal Ashraf from London. He is an international security specialist at Loughborough University. Good to have you on the show, sir. The question is, why are we seeing a sudden rise in terror attacks in Pakistan?
Yes, I think there's a lot of reasons why these attacks are continuing and culminating. But one of the reasons is that what we're seeing here in this particular attack is a competition between extremists. So this attack was against a religious organization, a religious extremist organization by IS, because they consider that this organization has been too supportive of various governments. And we have elections coming up. We also have a crisis, a cost of living crisis because of the economic downturn. And so people are being persuaded to turn towards extremist organizations to deal with extreme political, social conditions.
But this is not a new problem, Afzal. The country has been fighting against extremist groups or terror groups for more than a decade now. I mean, why, as you put it, this competition between extremist groups. I mean, why can't Pakistan's security forces put its foot down against groups like the Pakistani Taliban or Daesh?
Well, that's a very good question, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that Pakistan has been supporting some extremist groups for political purposes. So it started supporting these so-called jihadi groups in Kashmir against India, which was a grave mistake. It was a political and tactical success, but strategically, in the longer term, it has backfired on it. Pakistan also is probably the only country in the world, but particularly in that part of the world, that has put discrimination, religious discrimination, within its constitution. So it has declared passive and peaceful organizations such as the Ahmadis as non-Muslims. And that discrimination has given license for extremists to take that sort of category to the extreme by going around saying that Ahmadis, for example, should be killed. And that has allowed the expansion from Ahmadis to Shia groups to other Sunni groups. And of course, you're probably aware of the discrimination against Christians and again, the politicization of blasphemy, which has been politicized by moderate parties, has been used against minorities such as Christians and the Ahmadis. So we have some constitutional problems. We have some Pakistan's own military and security policy problems that have created this very unhealthy situation, which is now beginning to bite the hand that fed some of these extremist organizations.
I like that expression. Afzal, tell me this. So clearly these groups are taking advantage of the situation. The Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said this is not only an attack against Pakistan, but it's also an attack against the country's democratic fabric. Talk to me about how this might affect campaigning, the idea of elections coming up, and how the political parties must be feeling.
Well, of course, there is a history in Pakistan of attacks during political campaigns. You may recall that the erstwhile Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto was assassinated during a political rally in advance of an election campaign. And there have been other examples. The former President Imran Khan also suffered an attack during a political rally. So there's a tradition, if I might use that phrase, of attacking political rallies. So there will be this apprehension, there will be this concern. And the statement that this is an attack on the democratic fabric of Pakistan is accurate, but it is the very democratic organizations, it's the secular organizations, it is the military and other security organizations that have been guilty, if I might use that term, of trying to harness extremists and trying to use them for their own limited benefits. and now they're paying the price for it. So they have got themselves into a situation where they have to stop all forms of extremism, all forms of sectarianism. There is no longer the luxury of choosing friendly and acceptable extremists, friendly and acceptable sectarians. They have got to become secular in the literal sense of the word, where everybody is allowed to practice their religion privately, but on a national basis, they must leave religious violence, religious hatred out of the political domain. And so far, the Pakistani politicians haven't demonstrated enough courage to establish that. So sadly, I foresee more of the same.
Okay. Afzal Ashraf, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Pleasure talking to you and having you on the NewsHour. Thank you.